Testing, mic 1, 2, 3. Testing.
Double testing, mic 1, 2. Double testing, 1, 2, mic.
ThyGap Podcast, Season 2, Episode 10, Take 1. Let the dog bark. Wait. Shh. Let it bark. You hear that? Yeah. Let him do his thing, man.
Yeah. Do you think he's horse?
It's a free world, man.
It's freedom of speech, bitch.
I think he's done.
Yeah. So let's take it from the top once again.
Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of the ThyGap Podcast. This is Season 2, Episode 10. The fuck did you snap there?
I just wanted to confuse you, that's all. But yeah, keep
mission
going.
accomplished.
So let's take it from the top once again.
Welcome back to the ThyGap Podcast, Season 2, Episode 10. And we're doing this just a couple of days before it's supposed to go up. We're living on the edge here at the ThyGap Podcast.
Walking the thin rope.
My name is Bogus Noog, and I have the company of my co-host.
Being brute here, people. Welcome to the ThyGap Podcast.
Yeah, like I said, recording it just a couple of days before it's supposed to go up. It's not easy.
It's not easy.
What we do.
Hashtag it's not easy. What we do is very few people can do. Emulate what we do.
And it's not just the hard work, but it's also the genius, because it's the Season 2 already. We are 10 episodes down the line, and we have not put one episode yet on social media.
Not one.
As a way of publicizing it.
Yeah. That takes courage. That takes absolute foolish belief.
Think whatever you want of it, but in the near future, there are going to be case studies about this shit.
Absolutely.
This is a new form of marketing.
This is what is going to be discussed at MIT.
They're going to call it vacuum marketing or antimatter marketing or...
The entropy of marketing.
The entropy of
It's called the
marketing.
entropy of marketing, where people don't get what we are doing, but still they get it.
That's how it is. And that's the reason why. To take in, for bragging rights, of course, to take in and participate and view this amazing event that is unfolding right in front of your eyes, you've got to follow us at our socials. Very quickly, our socials, bro, so that they can jump on this. Twitter, you can go to @ThyGap. Instagram, @_ThyGap. And then there is Facebook, which is like what? Come on. But then...
And what else do we got, Bogus? What else? How else can people touch us? Come into our presence.
What an important question, Brute. Thank you for that. How else can people touch us? The gentlest of touches, Brute, is mindthygap@gmail.com.
Oh, the gentle ones.
Sparsha.
This is ones for the gentles.
Yes.
Not genitals. It's for the gentles.
They just share their thoughts.
Yeah.
They compose a little mail.
And we
And
avoid
they send it our way. Because, it's getting kind of weird and off-putting when you look at the constant number of people who listen to the podcast in weirdest corners of the world, places I didn't know possible, that could exist.
Yeah.
These are the kind of places. And not one word. I mean, it's getting kind of one-sided, bro. And I'm getting a weird vibe about this.
What's the vibe that you're getting, Bogus?
I don't think I want to put it in words because it's kind of rude. And what's going on, guys? Like, come on, just...
Come on, please. Please. Tell us, share your thoughts on this. Please.
All right. So, Brute.
Bogus.
It's not a competition.
It's not. It's not. And why do we say that? There's a reason we say that.
I feel it's like a mantra that it's so important to just keep in your mind, at the back of your mind. And it always has to be clicking there.
What I call it is the key to freedom.
Yes.
It's
in
like...
a huge way.
Yeah, in a huge way. In a huge way. When you realize that, hey, I'm not a part of a race. I'm not a part of a competition. Then suddenly you feel so free. You don't have restrictions. You feel you're not tied tied up or restricted by anything. You kind of have like a free flowing thought process or whatever. And most importantly, it gives you the time that you deserve.
Because there's so many instances, so many variations, so many examples of competitions that we are all involved in. It's not even involved at this point, we're entangled in them.
Yeah.
And there's only so many of those that we are even aware of. And there's always these invisible everyday interaction. You go through these small competitions, which for no good reason. It is sometimes only playing in your own head. But where does it start, bro? If you had to, track the progress of this,
Yeah.
right from the time like we are kids.
It's not progress, first of all, Bogus. Let me correct you there. It's kind of like, digress, regress. Anything but progress, according to me. So it starts so early that we don't even know about it, right?
Yeah.
Like the easiest example is when a kid is in, say, 4th or 5th grade, there's already certain pressure that, which rank did you get in your class?
Yeah.
Right? How does it matter for a kid who's like 4th or 5th grade as to which rank he got? And that keeps getting escalated from that day.
And there's competition on both aspects. Like when the kid goes to school, there is a different competition going on at the school level.
Yeah.
And when he goes home, there's a different competition going on.
The only difference is
homestead.
you're being compared to your classmates in your school.
Yeah.
And then you're compared to your neighbor's kids in your home.
Yeah.
Or your cousin or your sibling, or if you live in a joint family, it's a different problem altogether.
Yeah.
And it's extremely prevalent in our society.
Oh, yeah. Even more in ours. And there's no escape from it, right? Like 24/7. You're not walking away from it. There's no gap.
It almost becomes your second nature.
Yeah.
Like wherever you go, I mean, I've seen that in myself during my teenage. Wherever I went, I had to be the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Even if it means that, oh, dude, I fell and I broke my leg. I'm like, oh, dude, that's nothing. I once fell, I broke my head. It was so bad. You just constantly are in the need of trying to be the best case scenario.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is not just an individual's trait or a personality. It has become like second nature to so many people.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in a conversation where you saw that you're discussing about favorite movies and everybody is trying so hard to explain or defend the point of why their choice is the best movie? Have you been in that situation, Bogus?
Yeah.
Do you have friends? Do you speak to people?
Of course.
Apart from this setup?
Of course I do.
So did you experience this? You're sitting in a group of people and then you're trying to think, who's the best actor or who? It just can't be like, hey, my best actor is XYZ.
Yeah.
And my best actor is, my favorite movie is XYZ. It always has to be like, my favorite movie is XYZ because there are these, things in that movie.
Right.
And it becomes slowly everybody is like giving their own, opinions. Their opinions kind of lose their charm after a point and they start becoming like hard-hitting points. They kind of almost go to a point like, but your favorite hero is a drug addict. Like, so you think he's still your favorite hero?
It devolves to a point where now it's more about who's going to win and who's going to lose than the actual topic or the subject of the conversation.
Absolutely. And that is because of these early seeds that people sow into us, where this constant pressure of, which rank did you get? How much did you score? What percentile are you at? And how many entrance exams are you giving?
Like, come to think of it, right? It seems like the intensity of this experience for each and every one of us and how young it starts and to what intensity it is driven in.
Right.
You can say that it is a trauma related experience, because it is kind of traumatic in the way how there is no escape and 24/7 you are being thrust upon. Like all these kinds of competitions and comparisons are being thrust upon you. And then you have your own on a personal level as well. Like among your peers,
you develop
your
your own.
friends.
Correct.
You develop your own. You have your own yardsticks and pissing contests going on.
Right.
And it's just non-stop, man. Like at all times.
There is no escape. There is no it's almost like God. Like there is no place where there is no competition. You're so scarred with this nature of competitiveness that it's almost like so subtly settled under your skin that you can't avoid it.
Yeah.
And this has a lot of negative impacts. I'm not saying competition in itself is bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this kind of a mentality, involuntary competitiveness that kind of grows into you has a lot of negative effects.
And
Right.
quick example is if anyone came up to you and said, "Hey, what was your favorite movie?"
Yeah.
or "What's your favorite color?" or whatever,
Right.
and you give
A bunch of them.
a bunch of answers,
Yeah.
and they come back and tell you, "No, give me your best one." Like,
Yeah. But which is your favorite?
but which is your favorite? Like, which is the
favorite.
top?
Like, as if by changing the tone, it becomes a completely
Yeah.
different question.
Which
What's your
takes
favorite
pole
question?
position? And if any of you are among the people who would then restrict yourself to the one in accordance with their conditions,
Right.
then
That's an
you are-
indicator.
that's an
Yeah.
indicator.
That's an indicator that, dude, you too deep into this shit, bro.
Yeah,
Never go full retard kind of
there's a switch you gotta find,
Yeah.
and you gotta
turn
flick
it off.
You
Yeah,
gotta
you gotta.
flick that switch. Yeah.
But that's what I see. I think that's how it starts.
Right.
And somewhere down the lane, by the time we realize that, hey, we are in a competition, we just never knew it. It's too late. Either you're too lazy, or you're just too involved.
Just go with the flow.
You just kind of go with the flow, which is why I'm saying it has, on the long run, it has a lot more negative impact.
Oh yeah, and the
than the good it does.
Absolutely, and the negative impact is you have this misery Olympics going on.
Yeah.
Everywhere, which is if you're trying to vent to your friend about something that's going on with you,
Yeah.
and you're trying to lighten your burden,
Yeah.
the response you get is usually that
It's
guy's trying to
almost
compete
like-
with you. It's like,
Yeah.
but at least you have this, at least you have that. For me, it's even worse. Like, you know what happened to me? It's like, oh, dude, fuck
Yeah.
you. Like, what? I'm talking about me. Like, so it's not a competition now between you and me.
It's suddenly like you both are in the same race.
Yeah.
And you didn't even invite him. Like, it's not even like you're just walking. Suddenly it became a race.
Yeah.
Right? And there's so many things, right? Like, oh, fuck. Like, there's so many examples where I thought, like, why am I doing this? You know, when you're in the road, you're riding or you're driving your car.
Yeah.
And there's this random car that kind of like bumps ahead of you.
Yeah.
And then involuntarily, almost like a machine,
Yeah.
you kind of press on the accelerator and like, zoop,
Yeah.
and then you overtake him and then like, yeah, bitch.
It's almost a reptilian response.
Yeah,
for us.
it's like a
way too
ball
deep.
thrown at you
Yeah,
types.
yeah.
And then I'm sitting there at the next signal or something. And like, why the fuck did I do that? Like,
Yeah.
he didn't even like. How can I get provoked by that? Right?
Yeah.
And everything, like somebody's walking stairs or like somebody's getting into the elevator. Every shit is like suddenly like you have got to be the first one to do it.
Yeah.
That is, I think that's not healthy on the long run.
And
How did you deal with it?
I just saw that it is a two-way street. Like, it takes two parties to get into this, you know,
Right.
willingly.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm starting it myself without there being any need, without that other person provoking or with the intention of getting into a competition, then I'm just wasting my time, you know, because that guy is not even
He doesn't even
Involved.
know.
he doesn't even know.
Yeah.
And it's not fun anymore. It is just I'm limiting myself to his potential.
Or you're assuring your win. You know, when the other person
Yeah.
doesn't know that you're competing with
Yeah,
him.
you're just assuring your own.
Yeah.
win.
So,
And it's basically a waste of time. So now obviously we're not saying, you know, that all competition is bad, right?
yeah. Competition as a concept is good.
As a concept,
Yeah.
competition is
It's
good.
necessary also, because how else will you know, like, you know, you put in hard work in something and how
Yeah.
do you know where do you stand?
So I feel like you're able to reconcile with these two things at the same time, which is, yeah, there is the negative side of competition. There's misery Olympics and all going on in our society. There's no escape from this shit. But then you also recognize that, oh yeah, competition is good because you have a few good examples of situations where competition is great. Like, we all love sports, we all love entertainment. So all that is where, competition, the positive aspects of it are involved.
Yeah.
But then if you look at, okay, what is different between these, from this situation and this situation? What makes this a negative versus this, which is a positive? I see that the difference is over here, there is consent, mutual consent, that everyone is agreed that, hey, we are getting into this competition.
Yeah.
Then there's an established set of rules. And
Let's see who is the best.
let's see who's the best. And there's handshakes all around.
Right.
And everyone is willing participant, basically, into that.
Right.
Whereas the opposite side, it's just you trying to measure up against someone else when you should be trying to measure up against yourself. and constantly keep growing. But you're always using someone else as a yardstick. Now you're just limiting yourself to what that person is capable of.
Yeah.
And there's so many flaws that person has, so many imperfections, that now you're vulnerable to falling a prey to all of that shit as well.
You know, the involuntary competition concept, for me, is like standing in a line for a ticket.
Hmm.
You know, the output is the same for everybody, right? Everybody gets the same fucking ticket. But still you're like fighting to get it first.
Yeah.
How does it even make sense?
Yeah.
Right? That's exactly how I see involuntary competition. You know, you don't even know what you're getting at,
Yeah.
right? And what you say makes a lot of sense when it's almost like challenging. You challenge a computer, right? Like I come and challenge you, or I go into an ecosystem where it is out in the open that, hey, everybody here is coming so that they can compete, right? So if you come here, you are going to compete. Not like you take the competition out of the room, which is another mistake a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Like you lost, fuck it. Come back again, try to do better.
Yeah.
But no, they take it outside and they start like, oh, he was not that good also. Like, I don't even know why he won.
Yeah.
Like, fuck why he won. You lost.
Yeah.
Right? So stop cribbing about or stop blaming the person. Don't be a sore loser, right?
Yeah.
So that is really important. I get the point. And it's a very important point. I'm surprised you made it, in fact, that you get into a competition with consent of the other person.
And that is the only, not the only, but maybe that's a good indicator of you're in a healthy competitive state.
Yeah.
When there is mutual consent and there are agreed upon rules of engagement.
Right.
And then there's hopefully a reward at the end. Otherwise, why should you be wasting
icing
your time?
on the cake.
Yeah.
It's an icing on the cake.
Some reward for your
There
effort.
is a measure of your own ability.
Yeah. And that
I
you
think
should,
they are all the previous ThyGap podcast episodes involved.
And that you should
in
have
that
some
scenario.
fun while you're doing while you're engaged in it.
You won't feel forced. Again, what I say is that freedom concept, right? You go in voluntarily, you kind of like, get into a competition with the other person's consent.
Yeah.
You have the freedom of expressing yourself. You feel that, hey, I'm not pushed into this. I picked this fight. So whatever happens, it's my responsibility. It's my accountability, which is the ultimate thing. Right? Like you shouldn't regret.
And the next stage of compete with consent, I feel, is once you're understanding that, I feel is when you choose your competition, is where you start choosing your competition, what you want to get into and what you do not want to get into, because it's not a value for your time or your effort.
Right.
And for that, I feel, first of all, one has to be like aware of, okay, these are the different kinds of competitions I'm currently entangled in.
Right.
This is the problem I have. And how many of these should I really be bothering myself with, like spending effort on? What is really important to me? What is the overall goal? And how many of these are really taking me towards that? That tells me which is valuable time, like which is a valuable investment to make. And for example, like at the workplace, right? You get into situations when you have a new boss or something and there's ego clashes. And for no reason, the boss starts acting like you're a threat, like as if you're trying to
steal his chair
or whatever. And so is that a situation? That's a situation that's presenting itself as a conflict kind of situation. How do you want to go about that? Is there any value in trying to engage with that? And instead of just somehow reassuring your boss that, hey, just chill out, just back off, chill out, relax, you do your job, I do mine. There's nothing like that in some way or the other.
The thing about choosing the competition, right? From a perspective in which you mentioned about how to choose a competition, what exactly you're going for, how I approach that, or what I think is important in that scenario, is you should have like a relatively defined end goal. Competitions are not lifelong. Like competitions are a short burst of validations, right? Like you get into a competition, you see where you stand. First, fourth, third, fifth, 10th, doesn't matter where. And
we're using competition and comparison in the same sense almost.
In it's more concrete. Competition is more concrete.
Yeah.
Comparison is more dialogue.
No, but
it's more most of our assumption.
I want to include that also, because it's pretty much very close to each other. The comparison.
Yeah, but I
competition.
feel comparison always comes after the result. I don't think comparison before a competition is basically an assumption. You're just betting. You need to have like a relatively defined end goal,
right,
when you enter a competition. And it should not be like result oriented, but it should be more like a validation. You should be in your head like, hey, I can do X in this competition. Let me see if I can reach that mark, or I overshoot, or whatever.
And you're always comparing only with yourself and where you were
with
before.
with your ability, because you're choosing that competition for the fact to know how good you are.
Yeah.
Like if I'm a cricket player,
so self-validation.
It's a self-validation tool.
Yeah.
Competition is a self-validation tool, which is why all the exams that we have are not for everybody. It's for those who are really interested in the academics. It's only for the top 10 guys. They are the guys who are fighting for it. The rest of the class is just doing it because it's a compulsion.
Yeah.
Given a choice, I don't think anybody
going through the motions.
Yeah, going through the motions, more or less, right? So given a chance, I wouldn't have written any exam.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not interested in that. But if in my school, if they said like, okay, we're going to judge who is the best actor per se, then I would have been involved in it. I would have been like, yeah, I want to know if I'm the best actor in the school.
Right.
So it's about that. You choose your competition to know where you stand within your particular ability. And we are skipping the obvious, where we feel that you know your ability. You know where you want to apply it.
Right.
All those things are checked. Those are checked boxes.
Right.
And now you're at a stage where like, okay, fine. Am I ready for the next level? How do I know it? Get into a competition. Who are of your caliber or better than you, whichever.
Yeah.
Right.
It's better if they're better than you. But
not for your ego.
Yeah, it's not for your ego.
Not for your ego.
That's where humility.
Yeah,
is really
I mean,
comes
so
in.
many other things come. But it's safe to like. I mean, it's a good start to.
It's the best kind of start.
Yeah, it's the best kind of start to like compete with people who are probably a level or two above you, so that you have that scope to push yourself a little more.
Yeah.
And then see, like, fair enough. If the obvious result is you're going to lose, that's the best case scenario.
It's only for the fact, that they're defining the undefinable for you. Like, if you're just looking at today, I'm capable of this.
Yeah.
How much more can I be capable of? It is an undefinable, intangible thing.
Yeah.
But if you see someone who's already doing it better than you, then they define a higher margin to some point at least. So I know that, okay, I have to chase at least this much.
Yeah.
And then maybe beyond that.
Yeah.
So.
And what else happens when you choose your own competitions is you're not bound by time. You know, in the sense, you when you choose a certain competition, right, when you have that freedom of choosing it, you also can choose how much you want to prepare for it. You know what I mean?
I would for myself, I would slightly rephrase that to say, not that you're not bound by time, but you're using time, you're making better use of it, basically.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, you are better at English.
There's no escape from time. Only
all those spoken English classes last season helped you
only
to
Nolan,
articulate better.
Escapes time.
Nolan
through entropy.
Nolan just entropies.
Just entropies.
Everything
the
else
fuck out of shit.
Everything just falls in place.
Entropicism.
Entropicism into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good word. #entropicism.
Entropicism. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the trick, the biggest trick that a lot of people miss, at least in my circle that I've seen, is they don't choose their competition. They just go with the crowd, and then they start then the misery Olympics starts all over again.
Yeah.
Right?
And there's another aspect to choose your competition as well, which is, this is the one, what we talked about is one. The other one is, it's a matter of taking a step back, like looking at it from outside of your body almost, and seeing, okay, these are the different things that are going on around me in my life. And then you look at someone who is trying to approach you with a negotiation or with some kind, they're trying to involve you in something, and they're laying the rule set down for you. The rule set will get only established when you agree or give some consent to all of them. So how much of that are you going to actually participate in? How much are you going to set your own stamp on? Or are you going to let someone just walk all over you and just take you by the hands and just lead you to some path? So from an outside perspective, you can see that, okay, this is the game that they're trying to play. Now, I get to choose whether I want to play that game or not. So it is a choice. And that's the mantra. That's what the mantra reminds you. It's that this is a choice you get to make, whether you want to play that game or not. It is your choice at all times, no matter how helpless someone might make it look, the situation. There is always a choice of whether you want to play that game or not. And there are 3 answers to a question always. It's not positive, just positive and negative. It's also non-participant. So that's your choice. You get to say, nope, I'm not going to play this game. I'm going to play my own game. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to pick my own variables. And Steve Jobs actually is a great example of this. He openly even referred to it in his keynote speech. When he did not like the options that he was being presented by his business partners, so he said, nope, we're going to go another way.
Yeah, that's a long speech, Bogus. But because it's not a competition, I'm not going to give an equally long response.
No, you've already been through equally long portions.
Like I said, it's not a competition.
It's not a competition.
Stop doing this.
Come on.
Stop comparing.
When will you change, bro?
You are the one who tried to make this a competition out of nowhere. Okay, I just merely stated a fact. There's a difference, Bogus. I'm more evolved and smarter and intelligent than you. So it's not the competition you should pick. But having said that,
bro,
Bogus.
Let's say you are entangled in one
entropy
of a competition.
Yeah.
You're entangled in one and you know that this is not good for me. I need to get out of it. But how do I get out of it?
Yeah, that's a good question. You're kind of picking up the pace now. The toughest thing that I feel, is not you trying to identify that you picked up the wrong competition or you entered the wrong competition.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the fact that you've identified you are already a part of competition and you didn't realize it.
Right.
All those are the easier jobs or the easier things to pull off. The toughest thing is to get out of a competition.
That you want to get out of.
Right? I don't know if there's any concrete answer or if there's a one-size-fits-all kind of a solution for this.
Mm-hmm.
Because the challenges are really, really, there are a lot of mental challenges of doing that. One, you have to make a behavioral change. Like I said, today, being competitive is almost second in nature for us. We, without realizing, inorganically or more organically, we kind of keep getting into these dumb competitions to massage our own ego. Because the bigger competitions, we are anyhow not winning.
Yeah.
Right? So just to keep yourself going, you're getting into like a road rage or a road race without the other person knowing.
True.
You're climbing stairs faster than the other person. Or, so many things. You're trying to like bump up into the line so that you get the coffee first.
True. And what is the word that we use for this? Dopamine. Surrogate dopamine hits.
Dopamine hits. Yeah. So all this has become second in nature. So to change your second nature is a very tough job. Right? It's a very, very tricky thing.
It's not easy.
It's not easy at all.
ThyGap, subscribe.
And share, guys. Please, we beg you. Please. But that's one of the $1 million questions. Like, how do you get out of a competition? And my only solution is it has to be cold turkey. If you try to let it pass,
right,
it's very difficult.
Yes.
You just have to like hang up your boots and say like, boss, this is it. I'm not going to participate in this anymore. Fuck this shit. I need to step back, go to the drawing board, figure out or like chalk down a list of competitions I want to be a part of, or list of, first of all, or probably even further, like I want to just first see what's this whole deal about.
Rip the band-aid off. And there's no two ways about it. Because, like I said, competition is a good thing. No matter what kind of competition you are in, it has a decent impact on helping you gain traits which are useful for your life, right? They kind of help you figure out stuff like how to deal with failure, for example. How to know your ability, another example. Sculpt your statue.
In the artistic way, yes. Sculpt your own statue. But it has so many other negative effects, right?
Yeah.
consistent failure kind of makes you feel you're mediocre, right? You kind of become very self-content with mediocrity.
And by
Is
the
it mediocrity or mediocrity?
mediocrity.
Mediocrity.
And
Wow, I got that right.
consistent failures, even if you're entangled in competitions that are not good for you at all,
Yeah,
like you have no business being in,
yeah.
even consistent failures from those irrelevant competitions also tends to have that effect on you.
It has a more worse effect.
Yeah.
Because you don't even know why you're there.
Exactly.
And you're failing. So you're like, you have no clue what's happening.
And the
It's a whole bloody mess in your head.
And the other important thing I feel to keep in mind, apart from your cold turkey
Yeah.
thing, is the fact that it's not going to be easy. Hey, it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
If you think, oh, when the stakes are high enough, when that ultimate severe situation comes, then I'll make a conscious choice to say it's not a
You have no practice of winning, basically.
If you go like that to that, unprepared, without practice,
Yeah.
you are going to monumentally fail.
Yeah.
And it's going to be one of your biggest regrets in your life, probably. Because if you wait until that severe situation to put something like this into practice, not going to happen. You will have to practice right? Like you will have to practice regularly, like with almost everything.
Yeah.
With every interaction.
Like I said,
and I have an example for this. I was at a party with a few friends, and
Is it that funny guy syndrome?
no, just a house party, and I was meeting at least 2-3 guys for the first time there. So we got to talking, and through the party, this one guy was trying to figure out about where I worked. So I could make out that he's one of those career-oriented, likes to jump around like a trapeze artist, like he's in a Gemini circus or something. So he's coming to me and he's asking me things about my work and all that. So I was like just being polite and answering his questions. And then when we were about to leave, as I'm wearing my shoes, right, away from everyone else, then he comes running to me suddenly and he says, hey, by the way, how much do you make in your job? And I'm like a little taken aback, not because I was shocked at the question, but because he was invading my personal space. Like he was up to my face, dude.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, as I'm wearing my shoes. And I'm like, oh, okay, I don't like to really discuss about my pay. So it's good enough. Like it's okay. I'm happy.
It floats my boat.
Yeah, it floats my boat. And he's like, he didn't give in. Even after that, he's like, so I actually, in my current role, I make around 27 lakhs per year. So do you think if I join, will it be like more than yours or better than yours? He's dragging my salary into it for some reason. What I'm trying to get at is the way he pushed himself, right? If I was the same guy I was like 10 years back or 15 years back, I would have just blurted out the number.
Yeah.
Because he almost gave me no choice. It was an instant.
He cornered you.
He literally just cornered me.
Yeah.
As I was wearing my shoes. But then he caught me at a time when the years passed and I knew myself a little bit better. The measure of myself, of course. And Measure of Man, season 1.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
So that was like the...
And that's the whole thing, right? The whole concept of how competitiveness became our second in nature.
Yeah.
That it builds those insecurities that you're not still doing good enough. And the worst part is, I've seen this in people who just started their career.
Yeah.
And just like with 2 years of work ex, they're like, oh dude, I'm not being paid enough. Oh dude, I've still not gotten like a promotion or got bumped into a different role, or I'm not satisfied with what I have, etc., etc. And I'm like, dude, you just started. Like, do you even know the kind of time you have ahead?
You go to cutthroat places like Bangalore, this is what you'll find.
It's even
it
worse.
Stinks of this.
Yeah, it's
in the air.
Like, you have pockets.
Everyone's frustration and desperation is in the air.
Like, you have pockets, right? You go to Bombay.
Yeah.
You'll be hit with like a 1 pound bat.
Yeah, I know.
On the 1,000 pound bat on your face, where everybody is just like hustling and like fucking, I don't even know where these guys are rushing to. Which is why I never can picture myself in a city like Bombay, because it's too fast for my liking. I need breathing time. I need breathing space. I like to take things a little easy, right? I like to end my day where I still have 4 hours to go. I don't want to end my day where I just have to gobble up some dinner and then sleep and get ready for the next day.
Which is why you must have enjoyed New York as well, right?
I hated New York. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, New York is probably like double the pace of Bombay in lesser the space.
Yeah.
But you get the point, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is what they don't compete. Constantly being in a competition doesn't allow you to enjoy your fruits, or it doesn't allow you to enjoy or know yourself, your own ability,
Yeah.
and like work on it as you go.
And just the fact that it starts with one's childhood just tells you how deeply ingrained it is, and it's not something you're just going to break the spell off
Yeah.
in one interaction or in one incident or
Yeah.
one moment. No, you need anyone.
You
will
need something a lot more than inspiration to just break that chain.
Yeah.
You break the wheel.
It needs practice,
Right?
Yeah.
It needs, for me, it is like cold turkey. I don't see another option. I'm open to ideas. I would love to hear ideas of how do you move out of that competitive zone or that mind frame that you have. That's not healthy.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, you need to, the other way to get out of competition is get guys who are not competing in anything. Like, sometimes just spend time with vagabonds, or like guys who are not really chasing something. Like,
travel. Usually you find those people when you travel.
however you can find it, and you kind of see like that's what life is. You know, it's okay to be like steady or still for some time. You don't have to rush or run every time that you get up.
Yeah, and I agree with the cold turkey approach, because it's the same as the concept of cutting your losses.
Yeah.
If you want to get out of a situation with minimum losses, it is best to just cut your losses and quit. You don't prolong it, or you don't try to, wriggle your way out of it.
Yeah.
You just have to go cold turkey.
The worst part is all these misleading, what do you say? I blame a lot of these motivational quotes, which are out of context most often than not.
Yeah.
Like, winners don't quit.
Yeah.
What are you trying to win? Like, are you even trying to get into something? Like, there should be context to that quotation, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be just like winners don't quit. That means I hate my job, but if I quit, I'm going to be coined as loser just because I quit something that I don't like doing.
More realistically, it's more like winners quit a lot of things.
Yeah, so that they
at the
win
right time.
what matters.
Yeah, they win what matters, and so they quit all the bullshit.
Yeah, winners, like quitters, have courage
Yeah.
to say like, no, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
Right? It takes a lot of courage, right? Because you are going to be hit by judgmental people when you do that.
Yeah.
You are going to be stereotyped as a, good for nothing guy.
And
all that.
And people who will aggressively come to you and try to set their own game with their own conditions.
Yeah.
And they're trying to almost force you to play along their
They'll
rules.
give you a template which may not even suit you.
Yeah.
That's the worst
And
part.
they'll make it look like there's no other option, but there's always another option.
Yeah, you just have to like, think about it. It's as in the plainest English I can possibly put it.
But let's look at what happens if you chase competition. If you let it go out of hand, if you're really that ambitious, if you're really that single-minded, and you reached the top, bro, what happens? Like, what is the flip side, and what do you get in the end?
Well, the party is over once you do that.
Yeah.
like I often think about it. I think we also had a lot of conversations about it. Like,
Yeah.
once you reach the top, what next?
Yeah.
Right? I have two takes on it. The first thing is the obvious one. It's a very lonely place up top.
Yeah.
I think Federer said it. A lot of sportsmen said it, because sports people are in competition day in, day out.
And a very public face.
And a publicly,
You can't
right?
have a normal life.
Yeah. So a lot of sports people have said that it's a lonely place up top, right? Like, you don't have counterparts, you don't have peers to like kind of discuss what you go through, because what you go through is
different.
People still haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
So the expectation levels are so high. They just expect that you magically are going to be there because now you come on top, so it's going to be easy for you. So many things, right? So being on top comes with a lot of baggage, I believe. So that is one angle to it. But the other angle, it depends on which kind of race you're a part of. There are some races which keep getting better and better as you go on top.
Yeah.
Right? Like creative people. I believe that for a singer per se, there is no point in time where they can say, I have faced all the challenges that the space had to give it to me.
Right.
Right? So There are two sides of the coin, even at that stage. And it just depends on which race are you participating in.
Yeah, but I just feel like if we're all social animals, and really the importance of other people, if anyone needs to really discover it or feel it, just get stranded on an island for a while.
Yeah.
And then you'll realize how much you depend on everyone else.
Correct.
And how much you value their
Which is
presence
true.
or whatever.
Which is true. But once again,
So
yeah.
the point is like, if it does get lonely at the top, how much worth is that really to you? And that's a question I think anyone has to ask themselves, because would you rather just be lonely at the top, or would you rather have the company that you prefer, like your good company, to be along with you? And
I think
it's a small...
I think the answer to that is all the people who went to the top never competed with anybody else but for themselves, right? I think only if you look at any guy, any person who's at the top of the rank, you will see that he was only competing with his own performance or with his own ability, where he's trying to improve his skill.
I don't
blah
think
blah
that's
blah.
always the case.
Like, give me one example.
Some of the cases could also be because they just got into the whole competitiveness of life and they just went at it, whatever it was.
But then
they also wanted to earn money because they wanted to be richer than someone else, because that's the way they grew up, their culture. I've seen cases like that.
That's a fair point. But I don't have an answer. I honestly don't know whether...
Like a friend of mine from college wanted to go to US immediately after engineering only because his elder brother went before him. And also from his village, it is a thing if the kids go to college, to the US, for whatever reason, that is when they've made it.
Yeah, they've succeeded in life.
That's when the boy is marriageable.
Yeah.
If he goes to the US.
I was about to say that. He's settled officially.
Yeah. So he's like, he told me, like, I asked him, but you don't seem like the guy who would be happier there. You look like a guy who would be happier, like much happier here.
Yeah.
So how come like it doesn't pinch at you or anything? And he was like, yeah, but my brother went.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. My brother went, so I have to go. I can't not go.
And that's the kind of, that's the kind of conditioning that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Where you give in to that societal conditioning where everybody around you is defining which competition you have to participate, rather than you kind of choosing or really wanting to test yourself in the right environment.
Yeah.
Right? So there is no one set answer, I feel. It's a very subjective take on how do you deal with it when you go to the top. We have not gone to the top, so we don't know. But
I feel the advantage of this is it is a process that doesn't change with result. Whether you make it or you don't make it, or if you're still in the process, it's not a competition.
Yeah.
It's just as a mantra. If you have that reminder, right, going at the back of your head, then it doesn't change even when you've highly upgraded yourself as well. It still keeps going.
Which is why I say the guys who've reached the top, I don't think they get influenced by who is the next upcoming talent or
I think
who is the second best. Yeah. But the general consensus is the guys who topped always have this enormous amount of self-belief and they know what they've got in for.
Yeah.
Right? So, I mean, I don't know anybody, even in the public, figures space or in the population of the public figures, who got into something just because as a matter of thing and then kind of gone to the top.
Yeah.
I think they got into it because they really wanted to be there.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I don't feel like it needs to be a final answer to anyone's problem, because everything is very subjective.
Yeah.
Ultimately, it's the judgment or the style of judgment that you apply.
Yeah.
And these are just a few reminders that it really helped me in my own personal case. It's not a competition. It doesn't always have to be.
Yeah.
And then choose your competition. And then, is this a game you want to play or not?
Yeah.
And if you don't want to play it, you don't have to play it.
Right.
Just, rip the Band-Aid off.
It's as simple as that. Rip the Band-Aid off, get out from there.
Cold turkey.
Yeah, slam the door behind you
Get
and
out
say,
of the competition.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
And most importantly, be brave, be courageous to face what's going to hit you. Now that you made the choice. It's imperative to be aware that, hey, you close the door on that. And
because there will be some resistance.
Because you went into it because of an external factor. So those external factors will get activated the moment you get out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? They're the same people you will be passing as you come out too.
Yeah.
Right? So
It's like a natural flow state of things.
Yeah.
Where if you try to do something apart from the pattern,
Yeah, they'll kind of get more tightened.
there is resistance.
Yeah.
So
There is inertia
and entropy.
and entropy. That's how the entropy of exiting a competition works.
And that's how we're going to exit this episode. Season 2, episode 10, it's not a competition. Let us know what you thought. Let us know if you have observed any examples from your own life. And share with us at mindthygap@gmail.com. Or you can also reach us out at our socials. And that's about it. As we always say, it's not easy. And ThyGap. Subscribe.
And share.
Und share.
Alvidaj.
Hey, thanks for listening. You can follow this podcast on Spotify to get notified of new episodes every Thursday. We're also on Apple Podcasts for those of you who have partaken in the forbidden fruit. If you liked what you heard, leave us a 5-star rating and a comment. Say anything like the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. A rating and a comment really helps us out. It's free, and I'm told that's a great price. But enough about us, huh? Tell us about yourself. Leave us a comment. Our Twitter is @ThyGap, and we are _ThyGap on Instagram.